Okay, so today we're going to start with shadow, right? You know, I said you should try it both ways, and then after you try it both ways, then you'll probably decide that you like one way versus the other, in terms of either starting with the highlight or either starting with the shadow. Sam and Justin, if you can't see, feel free to come over here. Okay? Fine.
No problem. No problem.
Sam's in the show and he's learning. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with your cheeks. Since you're smiling at me. Okay, so it's important to actually go with your face structure, right? And so when you smile, you have these cute little lines that come in right here. Okay, so we're gonna pronounce them. We're gonna make sure that everybody in the back row can see that he has these. Okay, so if you study the face, right, and I see right here, Sam has this line right here. It's a very small line, and then the shadow goes up from the line, and the highlight comes down. Okay, so that is really important. If you put the shadow and the highlight in the wrong spot, then it will look strange and not believable. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to overemphasize this little line. Okay, so we're going to come in here, we're going to come all the way up. And put a line in there, okay? And now we don't want to just leave that line, so we want to pull it up a little bit, right? Our blending out. That's the trick for you, you can't smile. Oh no. So notice that I'm not putting a lot of makeup on his face, am I? And I'm being very specific as to where I put it. See that? So there's what we call a definition line, and I'm going to blend it out. It's not a lot. Okay, then if I want to emphasize it, which of course I do, I'm going to come in here right next to it with highlight. I'm going to pull it in. Okay? Okay, so let's do the other side so you can see. Okay, so we're doing the same thing. Can you look that way? Okay, when I put my highlight on, I'm not going all the way to the other side. I'm putting it on and then I'm blending it out a little bit. Okay? Does that make sense? And then when we blend it, right, because you can see I just have like a line where the shadow just stops. We want to pull it out a little bit. I'm going to pull the highlight in a little bit. So can you see that his face is starting to be more pronounced? So we're going to do that with all aspects. Okay? Let's do another spot right here. Everyone's got this little spot. If you look at yourself in the mirror for a minute, you might have something that's more pronounced, just as normal. And then look at somebody next to you. Turn around and look at somebody next to you. Look at someone on both sides of you. You see how there's going to be variation, right? Like if I look at Hannah and if I look at Justin, they're very different because I can see more definition right here on Justin than I can on Hannah. But if I pronounce it on both of them, we're going to equally see that. Okay, so we're going to take Sam here and we're going to emphasize that. Again, not a lot of makeup. But just enough. And then we're going to put a little highlight on the edge. And blend that out a little bit. See how that darkens that, sinks that in.
Wow.
Okay, let's do another spot. Smile for me again. Okay, so he's got these other lines right here. Well, let's emphasize them. Some of you don't have those, so you wouldn't want to just randomly put a mark in there because when you make a facial expression, it will look weird. Okay, so you'll want to consider the person's face. Okay, so Sam's got this additional line here. Okay, we're going to emphasize that.
So you actually mark in the line with the shadow, right?
Yes, if you look at your face, where the divot is, or the wrinkle, whatever you want to call it, that's where you want to shadow it, because you want to overemphasize it.
What if you don't have a wrinkle?
Then we're going to create a couple.
Okay. What do you do if you have like an obnoxious dimple in your cheek? Should you emphasize it? Or
If you want to. Just cover it up. Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of makeup. You can overemphasize it, or you can cover it up. Right? If you're playing Sweet Sally Next Door, well, yeah, put it in there. If you're playing more of a sinister type character, I'd angle your face. You know, just to emphasize, just to overemphasize your character. So again, not an extreme amount of makeup, but very controlled and precise, and it makes a huge impact. With shadow comes highlight. Okay. Okay, so we've started to get a little bit here. Let's do the bottom of his eyes.
I have a question really quick.
Yeah.
You're blending the shadow outward and then the highlighting inward. Is there a specific reason for that in that area, or is it just the way?
Good question. When you study your face and when you look at how the highlight and the shadow go, you want to be consistent with that. Okay, and so here we've got a shadow that comes up, and then to mirror that image, the highlight comes flat here, right? So if I did it opposite, it would look strange.
Okay.
Okay? same with, so this next one, let's talk about it when we do it. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna emphasize his eye, okay? And he's got a line right here. Okay? Now, I can either go shadow in, like up towards the eye, or I can go shadow out, okay? It makes more sense to go in towards the eye, and then put the highlight right on the outside edge so we can pop that wrinkle. Okay? If we go the other way, it will kind of look like we had a flashlight on his face. You've all done that. I know you have. Okay, so I'm going to come in a little bit. But I'm being controlled. Again, I'm only coming in, oh, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch probably. Right like that. Okay. And then he's got another line that I'm going to emphasize right here. And that line is a little darker. Right? I want to make that just a little bit more intense. Then of course, we're going to pop it out. Okay, we're going to first start with this one down here. Not very much highlight because sometimes, I know in the last exercise we did, some of you would cover up your whole face with highlight and shadow. And if you don't have any of your base showing through, it won't look real. Okay, so we have to make sure that we don't take this all the way down into that shadow. You want to have some base color standing out. Okay, so this first one.
It's amazing how dramatic his eye already is. It's just crazy.
Bless you.
Okay, again, not a lot of highlight, right?
This eye looks old.
Barely use that much. Then, I don't want to forget about the detail in here. I'm going to come in here and put a little, because I left a space, right, between this dark definition line and then where I had the shadow come up. There's a space, so I want to emphasize that. And if you can't see, or if you want to see closer, come up here and look. Okay. The eye is sensitive, especially if you're not the one putting it on yourself. You want to make sure you're not hurting them.
I don't need to blink.
Okay, good. Here we go. Then I'm going to come up right underneath the eyelash. Okay, let's give Sam a break for a second.
I'm impressed.
Can you see yourself?
That's the idea.
Wow.
And that's not a lot of makeup either. I mean, that's just incredible.
Not a lot of makeup. But since
No,
we
I'm
have
just-
it right on the other side,
That's
you
not
can
what I
start
meant.
to
You know what I
see-
meant.
You can start to see a difference. Can you see?
Would you say this is like middle age?
Good question. I would say this is more than middle-aged.
Yeah.
If you're going to be middle-aged, do a little on the eyes, not as extreme as I just did. Do some on the nasal